TalkNShop network makes no apologies for what you're about to hear. The host might, though. It's the $9 podcast with Drewski. Because moderating for pro wrestling's good brothers wasn't enough work. Talking wrestling and more. Weekly on all major podcast networks.
And we're back. Welcome to a brand new episode of the $9 podcast with yours truly, Drewski. I am the moderator of the TalkNShop Patreon, the chat known as the Falcon's Nest. I try and do these things weekly, just to ease my peace of mind. You'll notice a lot of gimmick infringement from like other TalkNShop network podcasts in regards to the $9. That's fine. Imitation is a serious form of flattery. Go knock yourselves out. Don't come running to me when you start running out of original material. I digress. In the words of Taz. So, it's Forbidden Door season, and it's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. It's like, no matter how much the New Japan Wrestling faithful, mostly the U.S. based ones, have a conniption fit over how Forbidden Door is very slanted towards AEW. There's a couple of reasons for that, because as far as I know, the visa problems are still a major thing. Visa problems. The fact that the G1 final, which is the New Japan bread and butter, starts 2 weeks after this Forbidden Door, and they don't want to take the chance of having one of their main competitors, people that have been announced for the G1, get hurt in a non New Japan pay-per-view, which is a silly statement to make, because if you've seen the card, there's going to be New Japan talent on the show that's also in the G1. And you have to remember, like in 2 weeks, it's the first G1 is happening in Chicago, and it's being headlined by Yota Tsuji versus Konosuke Takeshita. You say what you want about Takeshita, but Takeshita's 3-contract Takeshita. And there's a reason why he's 3-contract Takeshita, because he is the man. Now, do I see Takeshita repeating his last year's journey of winning the G1 and winning the G1? It's doubtful, because they have to build up the New Japan new crew, right? But that's something to talk about in a couple of weeks when the G1 takes off and everybody becomes an expert in trying to figure out how Gato is going to book said tournament, which is always, just when you think you got Gato figured out, no, it's as sure as the sun rising. There will be a twist, and Gato will piss off a lot of fans with some of his booking. As in terms of Forbidden Door itself, but 2 weeks ago there was hardly any build up for matches, and then it's like all it took was one Dynamite and one Collision, and bam, you got a card. Just like that. With dream matches, or matches that haven't happened in 10 years, like it was Zack Sabre Jr. and Kenny Omega. Matching up the first time in 8+ years. Kenny's talked about it, and And Kenny's actually been doing like media rounds for this, which is very encouraging because past couple pay-per-views he hasn't really. But then that's it's a byproduct of him feeling better, obviously, and little bit of all hands on deck to promote the show. It's going to be a barn burner because you can guarantee you're gonna see a multitude of great matches on this card, and with Swerve and Ospreay in the final of the men's version of the Owen Hart tournament. Winner gets all in, the all in shot, and there's enough doubt clouded, and there's enough shenanigans going on in the background with like Death Riders and motivations and Swerve's motivations and where's Hangman, Adam Page, and all of this. If he shows up, if he figures in this at all, that's intriguing. They're saying don't pay attention to people saying that there's no storylines going on in AEW. That's ridiculous, especially when it comes to the MJF versus the Don Callis family. Even though the whole dynamic of him having to hire Don Callis family members to watch his back, and half the people half the talent has a bone to pick with MJF because they want the title. It's a funny dynamic to have. And notice the past couple Dynamites they've been teasing fracturing of the Don Callis family. Sure, it's the lower card guys, it's like Roppongi Vice. It's like and you see like the looks that Brian Cage has been giving, and the back and forth between Kyle Fletcher and and Jet Kevin Knight. Okada's trying to be above it all. You could see it. Okada don't care either way, because Lil Kazu does not care. Lil Kazu is his own man. Like Andrade is going to get involved. What happens with MJF and Mark Briscoe on Sunday? He's going to end up costing MJF big time, and the fallout from that is going to be glorious. It's going to be very glorious. No, it will end up being like a triple threat of Kenny versus MJF versus Andrade at Redemption. Could see it. The storyline's there. I think it all depends on how Kenny feels after the end of his match with the Zachy boy on Forbidden Door. The one thing about wrestling Zach, Zach's going to tie Kenny up into a knot, into a pretzel, big time pretzel. But he works safe. All his stuff looks like it kills, but he works really safe. He's a pro's pro. He reminds me of Regal in that regard, which is very high praise. In my mind, but Zach can be a prick, and he's very good at it. And looking down the card, it's like a Sky Team versus Shingo and Dookie versus and the Young Bucks. That's a low key banger right there. Didn't get to work with Sky Team. Sky Team's it's very good to see CMLL representation other than considering the visa problems they've been having have affected like some of the CMLL talent as well. But it's not just happening; it's happening everywhere. It's happening like with WWE as well. But since it's a pay-per-view week, they tend to amplify this situation. And you'll get like silly shit going on during because it's an AEW pay-per-view stuff. Like, come on, the stories about out of nowhere, CM Punk bringing up the incident in Brazil with Chris Jericho. That caused WWE to not have a show there in like 10 plus years. It's like, now why come out this week and bring out that story, right? Considering Jericho's facing a Ciampa, that's another low key. Could also be a low key classic. Honestly, it's like on paper, Forbidden Door is one of those sneaky. It's going to be one of those sneaky pay-per-views where it's like it's going to play out way better than it looks on paper, which is saying something considering the level of talent involved on all up and down the roster. I love TK on Media Week. Everybody, all the media guys all the dirt sheets trying to get gotchas for like certain topics, like bringing up TNA being for sale, and it's like actually asking TK if he would be interested, just to get a reaction, just to it's just for quotes, just for ink, basically. Could it happen? Anything is possible. I mean, TNA just had the last taped Impact under the Tommy Dreamer regime on last night, and the next tapings will be like their new direction, which will be interesting to see what they do. And then there's already talk about them bringing in Apollo Crews, to bolster a talent. Apollo has needed a change of scenery for years, and he'd probably work out real well in TNA. Actually, they give him the time, to be But what do they call him, Apollo Crews, or would he go back to Uhaa Nation? Hard to say. It's also part of the media thing where they asked TK with all the independent promotions signing up for the My AEW streaming service. Will they be doing like something in conjunction with during All In, where all the independents that are on that network or do something during that week, and TK left the hint saying, well, keep an eye on it. So it's like, there's something in the works. And of course they brought up, would you be interested in buying Lucha Underground or PWG libraries? As far as I know, neither one of those are for sale. It's just another talking point to keep the flames burning, like for the dirt sheets. It's like, don't know, because both PWG and Lucha Underground have real complicated histories in terms of like rights ownerships and stuff, and reluctance to sell. Man, and the possibility of having to scrub a lot of stuff because of like changing times and what flew like about 10 plus years ago during the heyday of PWG would get a lot of the talent canceled today in terms of like modern sensibilities. So it's a very interesting you know, it's something that it will be brought up. It'll be brought up more than once, and it should be tabled for a bit. I think, because there's always a chance that PWG will come back. You know, it is Super Dragon's baby, and he's Super Dragon Excalibur, and I think Super Dragon it's Super Dragon's call whether or not they keep going or not, because right now they're still on they're considered on a hiatus for now. For the past couple of years, they're still technically on hiatus, and but what was interesting is like one of the parts of the hiatus was because they couldn't access the Globe Theater anymore in LA. But apparently they started having wrestling shows at the Globe again. So I don't know what situation is like for that. Now, again, that's something for the future. It's would it really increase the value of my AEW programming? Yeah, undoubtedly yes. Even though PWG is on High Spots Network, and it has been for years, and anybody that wants PWG DVDs and Blu-rays are maybe considered like a dead format, but you can buy some amazing cards for cheap on highspots.com. You can have like a library, but it's all about convenience, apparently, because you stream technology keeps going. It's to the point now it's like where you have like Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out, and it's they're not even going to release a physical CD for it. It's just going to be a code. Which it seemed inevitable at the time, but still, it's gonna stuff like that. There's a certain population that like the idea of having like physical media in their hands. To have, it's a byproduct of especially it's like if you grew up like in the 80s, it's like if you're like a Generation X kid, it's like you may have like certain certain media like on like 4 or 5 different the same media on like 4 or 5 different formats just to have in case of obsolescence for some reason, in case something happens. You would think they would do that with like some of the Coliseum home video stuff, a lot of WWE Network stuff. They could make a killing off of that, because these things tend to go in cycles. It's like look at vinyl records coming back. Right, there's going to be a time where it's like people are going to start clamoring for like CDs and DVDs again, and Blu-rays, and it happens. It's like it happens. It's a generational thing, and there will always be a market. And now, it's great to see Tekla versus Stardom is pretty much carrying the whole idea of Forbidden Door. The work the Toxic Spiders put in, like flying over to Japan, beating the crap out of Stardom's president, cutting his hair with razors. That's going to be a callback in their match against Starlight Kid at Forbidden Door. Somebody's getting their head shaved at that. It's like there's going to be payback, and it's probably going to be Tekla's going to get shaved. because that's the only way I could see this happening. It's like outside our tech level, because it'll be interesting. I'm real excited to see how U.S. audiences take the Starlight Kid because she's amazing. She's amazing. I put her up there, with Azume and Mei Saruga. My favorite, Mei Saruga, of course. In terms of like the future of Yoshi, Starlight Kid's done a lot, and she's only like 23, 24. And she will get over with her offense. It's like if they love like Mina Shirakawa and Yuka Sakazaki in AEW and Maki Ito, hell, Maki Ito is better now than when she appeared in AEW. I would love to see Maki back, but I don't know if anywhere. I don't know how. Well, they'll figure out something. It's great to see Sayuri and doing Ring of Honor stuff. It's good to see a little more interaction with the Stardom people, Stardom girls. Considering half the AEW women's roster has had experience in Stardom, so they can do like they can do exchanges no problem. I would love to see, I'd love to see like Megan Bain return to Stardom and just wreck stuff, especially with her and Lena Cross together, just decimating in Stardom. As a Haas tag team. Hell, I love to see Nyla. Love to see Nyla Rose go back to Stardom because the Joshi loved her in Stardom. They loved working with her. It's going to be very highly entertaining. Very highly entertaining Forbidden Door. I for one can't wait for the fallout from it because the first show after Forbidden Door happens to be in San Diego. And your boy happens to have front row seats for it again. I keep getting lucky. Getting VIP. It's like pretty much the same seats every time. It's getting to be green shirt guy levels of coincidental. Right? Well, not knowing most of the card for not knowing most of the card for Dynamite, and the only thing to really announce for Dynamite is the 6-pack challenge, survival of the fittest challenge for the TBS women's belt. And they keep adding to that. It'd be real. I'm real happy I get to see Hiroku. I get to see Shida-san wrestle live because anytime you get to see a student of Emi Sakura live, go, because Emi trains killers. Has always trained killers. Adorable killers, but killers nonetheless. Case in point, Riho and May. The little man, Riho and May, Mitsuki, all of them killers. No matter what they do. That so far, it's like the only one, I know they're confirmed. And I know Kyle Fletcher confirmed he's going to be there as well. So if Kyle's there, that means Triangle Madness is going to be there. It's going to be fun. Will the streak of Claudio throwing his coworkers at me at ringside from during a match at ringside continue? once is an accident, twice is a trend. Three, you start expecting it. Because first time was a couple of years ago. The first time I saw him, it was like in Oceanside. I got Adam Copeland thrown at me. Then last time I went, it happened to be Josh Alexander getting thrown at me by Claudio. It's weird. It's almost like I've had Pavlovian thing. It's like Big Swiss sees me, and his first reaction is to throw someone at me. And it's like, well, I love it. I should be flattered. Oh, hell yeah, I am flattered. I was a little pissed at the time because I almost lost the phone because Josh Alexander happened to fall on it. It's like, okay, how am I gonna get home with a broken phone? But hey, first world problems, right? It's going to be a fun day. The next $9 will be talking. I'll be talking all about it. Because this will be the third time I've done the VIP. It'll be I'll talk about the whole experience. If there's any interactions or what have you, and I'm excited. It's going to be a good thing, because this will be a second time this year, which I had no surprise the hell out of me. Because I was expecting like AEW to show up like once a year, but with shows in Oceanside and in San Diego and at Vias Arena I know very well, having worked there about 20 years ago doing stagehand work. I know that place inside and out. And there's a good chance my brother might be working that show. So even bigger bonus. It's going to be 3+ hours. That's the good thing about the West Coast shows, because they start like about 4. I let people in about 3:30 in the afternoon. A couple of matches taped for like Ring of Honor. It's like 4:30. Then the show starts itself. It's like live Dynamite from like 5 to 7. Then Collision right after that. I don't know if it's gonna be 1 hour or 2. But that's the Collision they're gonna tape. It will be for the next night. It's Saturday, so it's probably gonna be a 2-hour Collision. So we might be looking at about 5 hours. 5 hours. 5 hours plus. Could be looking at 5 hours plus probably maybe another hour of like Ring of Honor matches. So it's a 6-hour day. It could be 6 hours of wrestling. And starting at 4:30. So getting out, and since it's summer, it's like don't have to worry about it being a school night. So they might go late. Might be getting out of there about 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night. Well, yeah. Which would be a full day. It's going to be very, very fun. I cannot wait for that. I'm looking around, browsing, as one is wont to do. I'm not like vanity searching like some people, or I'm just reading crap on, like most guys. I read stuff on Reddit, and I'll take it with a grain of salt. And then I'll see stuff like Uncle Alan on his podcast, Phenomenally Retro podcast, came up with an idea to improve the WWE Survivor Series concept, where it's, instead of like teams of Raw versus SmackDown, it'd be Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT versus AAA, which would be very interesting. It would be very interesting, because the triple, It'd be an interesting way to build up the AAA, AAA, in the U.S. more. I don't know if people are ready for the clowns though. I have no idea, because I keep seeing the AAA stuff, and all all the sudden mass luchadors going down there that are not exactly true luchador. Well, true luchadors. Um, considering, you know, I've seen, like, when Conan was running like AAA in the past. It was a WWE like even back then, to the point where they had one of their guys, Supernetico, had a gimmick called the Main Man, and he dressed like Triple H, spit water like Triple H. His ring entrance is like Triple H's. It was like a combination of Triple H and Lobo. And he was over for a time back then. It worked for some silly reason. It worked. And that's the one thing they didn't go. Terms like AAA didn't don't give a damn about copyright and stuff. But with the a lot of the WWE involved in AAA now, I wonder if copyright is more and more adhered to. But they're sort of doing like stop start stuff. It's like, you would think they would let Dominic Mysterio do more shows in AAA, because every time he goes down there, he's treated like a god. And then bringing back the Perostome model gimmick is very interesting. It works in Mexico, but for U.S., you have to do a little bit of heavy lifting. We'll see where it goes. It's good to see Carmen Petrovich as part of that, though, because she's an up and comer. She's an up and comer. She's been putting in the work, like like NXT and Evolve, and it's good to see them give her a chance with that. They may have taken away like her swords as part of her entrance and everything. A bit of a gimmick change there, but we'll see how that goes. It was good to see Big E being interviewed on the Chris Van Vliet talking about how he's fine. Because there's always wrestling fans always want more. Sometimes to the point of detriment of like the health of wrestlers. It's like good for him to realize that it's like, no, I would like to do it, but no, it would not be a very wise idea. It's a very rare thing, especially for a wrestler, to admit that, right? Because if there's one thing, as one constant in the wrestling business, it's like, there's no such thing as a retired wrestler. There's always another paycheck. But good on E. I respect that. I respect that man like no other. And it's good to see. Good to see that he's still good with Kof and Austin Creed, who've been very silent. be very silent, other than like popping off on at conventions, bringing up Kenneth Jerome Omega by name. It's like stirring the flames up a little bit, because it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that they're coming. It's a very pretty much a very foregone conclusion, and it's going to be interesting next couple, the countdown after Redemption. After the Redemption pay-per-view, once we get to those shows in Detroit, which are a couple days right after Redemption, which would be probably the debut of the Motor City Machine Guns. And then probably we might pull a 2-in-1 and do the Motor City and the New Day on the same night. It might, yeah. Again, it's a hard. You can say that now, right? It's real easy to say that now, but we shall see what happens. It's like, I like to see what happens going forward. Because SummerSlam's coming up apparently for WWE, and I don't really care. Used to care a lot, because SummerSlam was like other than used to be considered like the number 2. The number 2 pay-per-view, but it's like they're not really giving me a reason to care, actually. But wouldn't be the first time that's happened. WWE does go through cycles. It's like it happened. You think it's bad now? Look about 2006 era. Oof. Trust me on this one. It's like, go ahead and start winding down here. If you like what you hear, it's like you can help. You can help support the boy by going to oldglory.com and buy yourself something and get like 15% off your order using the code Drewski. It helps out. I get a commission. It helps keep the lights on. Keeps me fed on a weekly basis. Because I'm becoming a kid on a fixed income here, right? It's like if you want to look at past episodes of the $9 podcast and catch up and find out why I am the way I am. So go to YouTube channels like youtube.com/$9 podcast. If you want to email me, tell me stop yelling at clouds, email me at $9podcast@yahoo.com. So if you want to support, because I have shirts and hats and pillowcases, for Christ's sake. I got way too much merch for tiny little podcasts. It's like $9 podcast@dasher.com, and it's like you want to come hang out with the rest of the TalkNShop Network guys, like the Grunt Gang and CJ Gallows, and listen to Machine Gun talk about his boys, and talk about teeny gambling, and how over the Hoots are, and how much Rocky sucks. And you go to patreon.com/TalkNShop, and one more thing. It's like I haven't done this a couple of weeks. It's like I'm wearing an immolation shirt for a reason, because I'm in a metal mood. Like my metal recommendation of the week It's like there's go check out all the videos from the Rush tour, Rush 50 so far. It's insane. You have to remember that Geddy Lee is like 75 years old. And he's playing like he's in his mid-20s now. And the absolute balls to start a show by playing one of your most challenging songs material wise in Xanadu. And a bunch of songs that you haven't played in like 20 something years. I mean, By Torn the Snow Dog, for Christ's sake. It's like it's stuff you never. They've done stuff. They're doing stuff on this tour they haven't done since 1970s. Annika, the drummer, the replacement drummer, it was the right choice. Was the right choice for that for this tour. She's killing it. Wherever they go, it's great to see Alex and Geddy having fun on stage. Lord knows they deserve it after all these years. And if you have a chance to go see Rush, go do it. They're going to be on tour for a while. What started out as like multiple shows of like one or two, it's only going to be like multiple shows of like a couple locations. It's now turned into it's now evolving into a monster, and it's only going to get better from here. Something because the thing about the multiple nights on the tours is they're not doing the same set every night. Some nights they're doing the whole 2112 album. Some nights they're doing whole Moving Pictures album. It depends on what kind of mood they're in. They have like a set list of about 45 songs that they're pulling from, and it's all killers. And especially one of the things that people like to harp on is like Geddy's voice. He's put in the time. It's like he's Geddy's voice has always been like an acquired taste, even from back in the 70s. But his voice on this tour is a lot better than like the 40th anniversary tour. It's a lot better. And it's like it's something. Every time I see like a new video, I'm just amazed by how well they're doing. And it's very inspiring. And it's very inspiring. It's much like the videos of the reconstituted Nevermore lineup that I've been seeing. You want to talk about killing it. Go look up new Nevermore live videos. The singer they've got to replace Worrell Dane is the best one they could have done. He has his own thing, but it's just they're just killing it live, and they're only going to get better. It's a great time for reconstituted bands. I can even say like Arch Enemy getting Lauren Hart to replace Alyssa like Loose. Lauren Hart sounds like she sings the Angela Gasso material like Angela. She sings the Johan Leva material like Johan. And that's saying something. Because I've seen some videos of their new, their latest tour, and it's basically they're playing a whole lot of the Angela stuff and Johan stuff that they neglected. Stuff like from the Burning Bridges albums and Wages of Sin. it's not. It's very. Yeah, it's been a very good couple of months for metal for in my mind. But then again, I'm an old guy and I'm set in my ways. So I'll just go ahead and get back to it and get back to like recovering. I'm still recovering from like whatever the hell I had over a week ago. Yeah, slowly getting better. I think I'm about 90%, 95%. Yeah. Hopefully someday out, the TalkNShop network will see it fit to actually let me loose on the general public. Like all the other ones on the network. It's just a matter of timing, and it's it is what it is. It's like I'm patient. It's like I'm getting to the fabled number 50, where it's like okay, I'm also starting to get like new listeners. Notice I have listeners in Brazil now. It's like obrigado. I'm a big fan of Brazil. Sepultura, Ratos de Potato, and so forth. Thank you for listening. Come back next week for more. I mean, I'm sure things are going to be very hectic before then. So we'll see.
Thanks for listening to the $9 Podcast. Support the show by going to the $9 Podcast or going to patreon.com/TalkNShop to dive headlong into the insanity. See you next week.